let's give a big shout out over to Johnny's Gaming Area, who subscribed to this YouTube channel right as I pressed to record on this audio. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen the Wolf of Wall Street GIF pop up here on the screen, but it's for good reason, because today we have ourselves some really interesting NHL waiver news that kind of gets things going in a positive way for a bunch of teams. We have a waiver claim that I think is worth talking about, as well as two extra names that have made themselves known on the waiver wire from earlier this morning. So let's start out by talking about the actual movement. Who got claimed and where are they going? It's the Minnesota Wild, as they've gone out there and claimed, okay, ad block plus, that's great. The Minnesota Wild have claimed Travis Dermott from the Edmonton Oilers. You also had yourselves Nikkinen, who had cleared his contract is terminated. You will see a bunch of people going out there and replying, LMAO, LMAO, no, God, please, no, 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 and the entire thing over there. Yeah, there's a little bit of irony here, considering the fact that Edmonton and Minnesota had themselves a game yesterday. He got 0 points in that entire play over there. It was kind of funny because you take a look at the score, 7-1 victory for the Edmonton Oilers against that Minnesota Wild squad. I mean, not really all too great for the mini Wild there, but yeah, sometimes you take yourselves a game and you learn from it, and I guess the Minnesota Wild were like, hey, that Travis Dermott guy was pretty okay because, yeah, he didn't even play. Kind of great to see that there, isn't it? But Travis Dermott was sent down yesterday on waivers. He did not suit up in the game, so I guess the Wild took that beating personally, right? Although, I will say, this does make a lot of sense from Minnesota's perspective. As we had talked about in the video yesterday, Travis Dermott is a pretty fine fella. He's a pretty alright hockey player. Not going to provide you anything too significant, but if you ever need a seventh defenseman to step up and play maybe 15 minutes a game, he is your guy. Maybe even less than 15. He had a few 15-minute games earlier on in the year, but later on, he ended up getting some 5, 8, 12-minute games thrown in there. So definitely not somebody that's going to be super utilized, nor is he somebody that you should expect superior top-tier talent play out of. He had 0 points in 10 games, after all, with the Oilers. But for Travis Dermott, he can provide some mobility, he can provide some versatility, he can play on the right side as well. The reason the Wild are doing this, though, is because their defenseman, Jake Middleton, just got out of their lineup. He's injured, he was placed on the LTIR, and as a result, they needed to fill up those spots. You could say, hey, didn't they just get David Jiricek from Columbus? And you would be correct about that. Which, now that I think about that, I'm like, didn't they have a guy already available to replace the guy? But anyways, it's Middleton, it's also Brodin. Both of these guys are out, and I guess they needed a little bit of relief there, some breathing room. So for the meantime, Travis Dermott is going to come in here to Minnesota, one of the best teams in the National Hockey League this year, and he will be doing his best to try and keep this Wild team afloat. It just comes at the behest of the Edmonton Oilers, which I guess if you said, all right, if you beat us 7-1, we'll take Travis Dermott, I think many Oilers fans would go out there and say, okay, great, do that. Take him. We put him on waivers for a reason, and that is ultimately the outcome. Now, we did have some other guys get placed on waivers today as well. You probably saw the Elliot Friedman tweet here earlier on. Pierre Engvall and Oliver Wahlstrom, both from the New York Islanders, are on waivers, and I think this is a really, really great opportunity for any NHL team that wants to buy low. Not on Pierre Engvall. Not gonna buy low on that guy, because look at him. This guy's making $3 million a year till the end of 2030. Lou Lamoriello masterclass. What in the world is going on here? Pierre Engvall, 28 years old, signed on till he's, what is he gonna be in 2030? 34? Oh my gosh, what a long-term deal for the ages. $3 million a season. The contract was signed a few years ago. This is the first year, or second year, excuse me, that he is on that $3 million AAV deal, and now he's getting waived. Pierre Engvall this season has one stint already with the Bridgeport Islanders. He has 6 points in 20 games played with the regular New York Islanders. He had 28 points last year. He wasn't really worth that much last year anyway, but when you consider what Pierre Engvall brings to the game, sure, he's a lanky guy, sure, he has some versatility, sure, he's a pretty fine middle to bottom six option, but for $3 million a year, that's a lot of money. And I think there were some people going out, please, someone claim Engvall. That 7-year contract for Engvall didn't make sense the day it was signed. Okay, people are talking about the other guy. I wanted to talk mostly about Engvall firstly, but... oh, Blackhawk. That's really funny. Who knows if that's going to happen, man? I'm not really too sure, but we'll see. For now, though, a lot of people have been going out there and talking about these two, mostly because Islanders hockey has been kind of abysmal the past little while here, especially when it comes to Oliver Wahlstrom, a player that I think stands out a lot as a former top-round pick in the 2018 NHL Entry Draft. You want to know a funny story? Back when we talked about this draft on the YouTube channel, it was my senior year of high school, 2017-2018, we were making videos about Vancouver Canucks stuff endlessly because I hadn't branched out my content yet. So all the videos were about, oh, what if Rasmus Dahlin was drafted by Vancouver? What about Svechnikov or Zadina? These guys were the top guys back in 2018. The fact that Zadina slipped to number 6 was crazy. But if you remember the mock draft video that we made in the 2018 draft, you actually saw me predict the Vancouver Canucks at number 7 to taking that same Oliver Wahlstrom. I actually thought that he had some really good qualities, and I was thinking, if he could become some sort of a Brock Besser 2.0, then we would be happy. I didn't foresee Quinn Hughes being taken by Vancouver in the 7th overall spot because I actually had him going number 4 or something to Ottawa. Something like that, right? He was a top player. I thought that he was going to be a top 5, top 4 pick. But Oliver Wahlstrom was my guy back in the 2018 NHL Draft because for the US NTDP in that 2017-18 year, he was a stud. 94 points, 48 goals, 62 games. He then was pretty okay with the Boston College Eagles in the NCAA. I say okay, he had 19 points in 36 games played. Come to think of it, that might have already been a red flag, considering some of the other NTDP talents usually produce a lot more than this in their first years of NCAA eligibility. But Wahlstrom eventually found himself on the Islanders. He maxed out, getting 21 points in only 44 games in 2020-2021. His production the next season saw him get only 3 more points in 29 more games played, so definitely not ideal there. Now it's to a point where Wahlstrom has 4 points in 27 games, on pace for about 12 points. He is looking like a shade of his former self. He doesn't have that same offensive potential nor that snipe. He's really started to fall off here, and at only 24 years old, it's very unfortunate to see for the former top-round pick in the 2018 draft. This is why you see all the replies to this tweet by Elliot Friedman. Oh, Wahlstrom. No excuse not to claim Wahlstrom. I know you're very high on Wahlstrom, but I have no idea how he's been. Any chance? If he was any good, he wouldn't be on waivers. I'll take Wahlstrom. Leo goes out there and says, you'll say this now, and you'll regret it later. He's a minimum wage 4th liner and a healthy scratch, yeah, but he's buns. Okay. A lot of people here haven't seen Wahlstrom play since he was drafted, and it shows. He's a 4th liner. His shot, unfortunately, hasn't translated to the pros, and his all-around game is whatever. If he wasn't 24, no one would care. I can still see a team taking a chance on him, though. Yeah, most likely. Team's definitely going to be able to take a look at this guy and see what he is about. But ultimately, this is a very buy low situation for a player that used to have so much potential. And I think a lot of people would immediately flock to this tweet and say, oh, like Wahlstrom? Crazy. Wahlstrom's on waivers? That's incredible. I mean, there's so much to like about Oliver Wahlstrom in theory, especially this right here. This was the lacrosse goal that he scored when he was 9 years old at the Boston Bruins, kind of like little kid Timbit showcase, the mini one-on-one, that's what it was, presented by TD Bank. And that little kid who was in this viral clip all those years ago was Oliver Wahlstrom. I think this video is from like 2009 or something like that. But the guy was a viral sensation back when he was a child. Now he is on waivers at the NHL level, along with Pierre Engvall. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Firstly, about the Minnesota Wild claiming Travis Dermott from the Oilers, as well as Engvall and Wahlstrom finding themselves on the waivers in 2024. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.